The Steam Summer Sale 2025 is here, and today I wanted to give you recommendations for games that you should take a risk on. These are games that I think maybe are a little bit out of your comfort zone. They're games that are worth giving a try, even though you might totally hate the game, because so many of these games can open you up to an amazing video game experience, or a genre of games, or a series of games, and I think that they're really amazing. They might not hit home with you, but I think that they're totally worth playing. And hopefully these are kind of a little bit more unorthodox. These are games that are going to kind of challenge maybe what you typically play, and hopefully you'll have a ton of fun with them. So the first game on the list is Kenshi. Now, Kenshi is amazing. This is an extremely unique game where it is very, very, very brutal. And it's really got this huge amount of edge to it. I mean, there's all these different starts that you can start the game with. It's this open world kind of RPG where you're living in this very brutal post-apocalyptic world, and there's different ways that you can play this game, but some of the starts are absolutely hilarious. One is where you basically have to escape slavery. Another is you're running away from cannibals right at the very beginning of the game. This is such a unique experience, and I just think that it's totally worth playing, especially if you kind of feel a little bit just kind of burned out from modern video games. This is just such a refreshing idea, and I really think that Kenshi is just an amazing game that you should totally give a try. So the next game is Expeditions Rome. This is an amazing RPG that I don't really see a lot of people talking about. If you like Baldur's Gate 3, this is a really great game to try as well. Or if Baldur's Gate 3 just didn't hit with you, maybe Expeditions Rome is worth giving a try. It's very much kind of like Baldur's Gate in that regard. It's kind of this isometric top-down RPG, but it's taking place in Roman times, so it's very unique. It's pretty approachable, like I said. It's got great gameplay to it, and I think it's just totally worth giving a try, especially if you're not really into these kind of games. It's kind of got that, like I said, more historical vibe to it, and so it might resonate with you, especially if you've kind of given some of these other games like Baldur's Gate or Divinity Original Sin a try. It's maybe worth trying Expeditions Rome. And then another game that's kind of very similar is Wasteland 3. Like I said, if you like Baldur's Gate 3, Wasteland 3 is very similar. Taking place in this kind of post-apocalyptic world. It's pretty approachable, I think. This is a game that is a lot of fun. And like I said, if you haven't really resonated with some of these games like Baldur's Gate or Divinity Original Sin, Wasteland 3, I think, can maybe change your mind, just like Expeditions Rome. Or if you do like those games, I think you can get a ton of fun out of Wasteland as well. So it's totally worth giving a try. Okay, next up is The Outer Wilds. And this is the game that you just don't talk about. Or at least that's the kind of joke, where it's such an amazing experience and it's really just worth going in blind. I almost kind of don't even want to talk about what the game is about, but if you're willing to take a risk, this is an amazing game. So many people say that this is their favorite video game of all time after playing it, and it might resonate with you. It might be great. It might be the best game you've ever played, but it's worth giving a try. But it's just really best to go in blind and just try to take a risk on it. So next is Project Zomboid. This is a very hardcore game. This is a zombie survival game where essentially you're just trying to survive, and it is an extremely brutal game. But if you kind of resonate with it and you kind of put a lot of time into Project Zomboid, you'll get a ton of hours out of this game. It could be really fun if you have a bunch of friends to play co-op with, and I think in a lot of ways that actually might make the experience more fun, but it's this very brutal, kind of very raw experience with zombie survival where you can really customize your gameplay experience, and it really does feel like you're desperately trying to survive, and the simplest of mistakes can just lead to complete chaos. So if you're looking for something a little bit more unorthodox from a gaming experience, you're really burned out from newer video games, this is something that I think can really refresh things. It can really open your mind up to just kind of new games in this kind of similar genre. Okay, so next we have Omori. This is a very interesting game. It's kind of dark, but it's kind of got like this JRPG vibe to it, and it's got really amazing music to it. It's kind of a game that I also think is worth kind of going in blind, but to put it kind of more simply, it's kind of like a JRPG, an RPG, kind of dealing with some very heavy themes, but it's a really fun game. It's, like I said, it's got great music. It's got a very unique aesthetic and experience, kind of very similar to Undertale. If you like Undertale, Omori might resonate with you. Like I said, it's best to kind of go in blind, but it is a very dark game. Just keep that in mind. But it's totally worth just taking a risk on if you like Undertale or things similar to that. Okay, next, Stardew Valley, which I've talked about before, but this is a game that is totally worth giving a try. Stardew Valley is one of those games where if you don't really play games that are similar to this, like Animal Crossing or Rune Factory or something like this, Stardew Valley is a great intro to this genre. And especially if you look at these games and you go, what's the deal? This doesn't look fun. This looks stupid. I really just encourage you to give this game a try. It's really an amazing experience. And if you do like it, it just opens you up to so many different games that are similar to this. And it's just a really chill game. You might be very pleasantly surprised at how much you might connect with this game, even though the idea of farming and just kind of living in this town seems really boring or not up your alley. I just really highly encourage you to take a risk and give this game a try. So next is Orcs Must Die. This is a phenomenal game, and the price point on this is just amazing. This is basically a tower defense game, but in third person, and there's a bunch of different Orcs Must Die games. I think the first one is the best game in the series, and this is just an extraordinarily fun game. It's just pure fun, and like I said, if you like this game, it opens up all the other Orcs Must Die games, and at this price point, it's just really worth giving this game a try. It's such an amazing game. It's just pure fun tower defense, so I would definitely recommend giving Orcs Must Die a try and taking a risk on it. Next is Mountain Blade Warband. Now, some people might suggest Bannerlords, which is the newer game of the series. It is a little bit better in terms of graphics and kind of stuff like that, but Warband is the one that I started with, and this game is so much fun. And unfortunately, I feel like Bannerlord is kind of missing a lot of things even after it was released. And so if you want a kind of cheaper price point to try something really unique, Warband is a really great option, especially at $4.99. Like I said, you can try Bannerlords, which is kind of the newer version of this, but Warband has just got this soul to it. It's got this unique experience that even though the game is very empty in a lot of regards, and same with Bannerlords, it's just this extremely fun experience where you kind of are playing this RPG in this kind of living, breathing, active medieval world. And like I said, it's definitely missing a lot of features. It feels very empty at times, but it's such a unique experience that I think it's worth taking a risk on and giving it a try. And like I said, if you want it at a cheaper price point, Warband is a great option. If you're okay with spending a little bit more money, Bannerlords is also another option, but Warband or Bannerlords is probably a great choice either way. Okay, next is Halls of Torment. So if you like Vampire Survivors, Halls of Torment is another great game that's very similar to Vampire Survivors. It's kind of got more of that Diablo-esque aesthetic to it, but it kind of adds a little bit of different things to it with basically equipping gear and kind of just giving you more of Vampire Survivor vibes. So if you liked Vampire Survivors, Halls of Torment's another game that can really bring you further into this kind of Vampire Survivors-like genre, and it can bring you a ton of fun. Next is Hotline Miami. Now, this game is really fun, and it's very brutal. It can be very difficult at times, and it's kind of in a lot of ways inspired a lot of games of this kind of genre. It's just a pure, fun, very dark story, dark game, but it's just a ton of fun just going in and trying to clear some of these levels. And especially at this price point, it's totally worth giving a try. A lot of people really like this game, and it's inspired a lot of games after it was created. So definitely give Hotline Miami a try. Next is Hitman Blood Money, which at this price point of 99 cents, I mean, it's just totally worth giving this game a try. It's one of my favorite Hitman games. It might be my favorite. And of course, you can try the Hitman collection, the 1, 2, and 3, the more newer Hitman games. But Blood Money is so good, especially at this price point. It's a little bit more dated, like I said, compared to the newer Hitman games. But I definitely think that this game is just a ton of fun. It's really nostalgic for a lot of people. And like I said, at this price point, it's totally worth taking a risk on and giving this game a try. Next is Valkyria Chronicles. And I really like this game. I'm almost kind of tempted to suggest the 4th game in the series, which you can also get on Steam. But if you want the kind of cheaper price point, I think Valkyria Chronicles is cheaper than the 4th game in the series. But they are these kind of JRPGs that are kind of more strategic and tactical. But at the same time, too, they're a little bit different because in a way, they're kind of like puzzle games because you almost kind of try to clear the levels really fast. And so that can be a little unorthodox for people, but the Valkyria Chronicle games are really good. They're really worth giving a try. It's kind of a different take on JRPGs in a sense because of the tactical nature of this. It's like I said, it's almost kind of more like a puzzle game in a way, but I would highly suggest either the 1st game or the 4th game in the series, and just give these games a try. It's a little bit different of an experience, but I totally think it's worth playing. Next is Final Fantasy IX, which I've suggested before. And if you had to basically play a Final Fantasy game and recommend one of the Final Fantasy games, if you've never played the Final Fantasy series, I would recommend 9. I think 9 is the best intro into the series, and I think it's probably objectively the best game in the series. And at this price point, it's totally worth playing. If you've never played a Final Fantasy game, I highly suggest giving Final Fantasy 9 a try. I think it really encapsulates the essence of what Final Fantasy is, and I really think 9 is just what Final Fantasy is. So next is RimWorld, which is a really huge and fun game, and it can be a little intimidating for a lot of people, but I think it's something that if you do resonate with it, it can give you hundreds, if not thousands of hours of gameplay. And it's kind of inspired by Dwarf Fortress, which is another game that's totally worth giving a try. And it's just one of these kind of games where so many things can go wrong. There's a huge level of depth of what you can do and create in this game. And I just really encourage you to try to give this game a try or a risk if it's something that piques your interest, because so many people absolutely love this game. Next is Stronghold Crusader, which I have to recommend this game. It's one of my favorite video games of all time, and there is a definitive edition coming out next month. But assuming you don't want to pay that higher price point or wait for that, the 70% off with $2.99 is such an amazing deal. This is a game that can really open you up to the entire old school strategy and RTS genre, and it's just so much fun. I mean, this game has aged very well, in my opinion at least, and it's just so much fun. I mean, overwhelmingly positive from everyone. I think there's a lot of people that really love and adore this game, and I can't recommend this game enough. So next, there's Chrono Trigger, which this is another game that I've recommended in my previous video, where essentially Chrono Trigger is an amazing JRPG. If there was a JRPG to try to introduce someone into the genre, Chrono Trigger is probably almost the best choice. There's almost no fat on this game. This is an extremely polished and extremely efficient game that really does not waste your time. And it's got an amazing soundtrack, an amazing story, a cast of characters that's amazing, and especially at this price point, it's great. I think that a lot of people look at the anime style of many JRPGs and they get kind of turned off from the genre. And I think Chrono Trigger is this really amazing entry point into the series. And even if it doesn't, it's such an amazing experience in of itself. So many people love this game. And I will say this, it's not all nostalgia. There's plenty of people that have played Chrono Trigger for the first time as adults, and they love the game, and it's one of their favorite video games of all time. That should tell you something. This is not a game of nostalgia, even though it's an extremely old video game. The fact that so many people absolutely love this game and they played it later on in life shows you the impact that this game has, and I think it's absolutely worth giving a try. Next is Faster Than Light, FTL. I love this game. This is one of my favorite indie games of all time. It's a kind of brutal roguelite game with spaceships where you try to basically survive to the end. And this is an amazing game. It's very difficult, but there's so many strategic options as you go about each of your runs. And when you complete the game with one spaceship, you can play the game with other spaceships, which really mixes up the gameplay. This is something that you can get so many hours of gameplay from. And because it's so challenging, it really makes every single run fun and immersive. So FTL is just an absolutely amazing game that you should totally try, especially at this price point. It's totally worth taking a risk on. And I think it's definitely worth playing. Next is Stellaris, which this is basically a grand strategy game. And honestly, I would recommend all of the Paradox grand strategy games, but there are basically 3 I would mostly probably recommend. And these games are definitely not for everyone. They are very intimidating. They are very difficult games. There's a lot to learn, but assuming you put a really good faith effort into learning these games, you can get hundreds, if not thousands of, or tens of thousands of hours into these games. And they're just extremely immersive. You can just have so much fun with them. If you kind of want more of the spaceship side of things, the kind of more sci-fi element, I would highly suggest Stellaris. If you're kind of looking for a more colonial or a kind of Renaissance style, Europa Universalis 4 is really good. And of course, Hearts of Iron 4, if you're looking for more kind of a World War II experience. Now, there's other games in the Paradox kind of umbrella like Crusader Kings or Victoria that are worth playing, but I do think that those 3 are probably the best to start off with. And like I said, if you resonate with those games, it can just open you up to this huge genre of the grand strategy games that can really change your entire gaming experience, especially if you're really kind of just so tired of a lot of modern strategy games and kind of the lacking AI and just the kind of watering down of mechanics. Grand strategy games can really change the whole meaning for a lot of people, and I really just highly suggest playing some of these Paradox games like Hearts of Iron 4 or Stellaris. And then lastly, Persona 4 is another amazing recommendation. I recommended it in my last video, and then Persona 5 is another good option. If you've never played a Persona game before, these are amazing games. There's a reason why so many people love these games and why they're so popular. I think that they're games that can really get you into the JRPG genre. And if you like one of the Persona games, you're probably gonna like all of them. And so if you just take a risk on Persona 4, which is the cheapest option, you could really have hundreds of hours of game just by taking a risk on seeing if you like the Persona games. They have amazing music, great character development, and I think it's just worth taking a risk on and giving these games a try. And this is my recommendation for games that you should take a risk on from the Steam Summer Sale 2025. I really do think these games are a ton of fun, and especially if you're not used to some of these games or some of these genres, I really highly encourage you to just kind of take a chance on them because they can really open you up to some amazing video game experiences and maybe some genres that you're not super familiar with. And like I said, if you just take a risk on some of them, you can have so much fun, and it just can really completely change your gaming experience. You can really open you up to so many new and interesting experiences. So let me know what you think is one of the best deals in the summer sale this year, and I will see you in the next video.